The elves saved the day. It was the biggest moment of the year at the North Pole. All 8 reindeer were hitched up, and Santa's sleigh was flying across the Christmas Eve sky. The elves waved goodbye, cheering for Santa and the reindeer as they began their trip to deliver toys. "Well, let's go back in the workshop," Bert said to the elves. "It's time for us to clean up for the day." As the elves put away their tools and swept the floor, Bud realized that a teddy bear little Jessica wanted for Christmas had been left behind. "Oh no," Bud said. "We accidentally put a stuffed puppy dog in Santa's bag for Jessica instead of a teddy bear." Bud quickly called Santa on the reindeer radio to tell him the bad news. "Jessica will be heartbroken if she gets a stuffed puppy dog instead of a teddy bear," said Santa. "Why don't you and the elf emergency crew meet me at my next stop and bring Jessica's teddy bear?" So Bud and the elf emergency crew took off on their flying reindeer with the teddy bear to meet Santa's sleigh. They flew all around the world until Bud spotted Santa's sleigh on a house rooftop delivering toys. "There's Santa's sleigh!" exclaimed Bud. "Let's go!" The elf emergency crew quickly landed their reindeer on the rooftop, and Bud delivered the teddy bear to Santa Claus. "Ho, ho, ho!" Santa laughed. "Jessica will be so happy to receive this teddy bear. You elves have saved the day." The end. The elves saved the day. Santa's computer travels. One evening before Christmas Eve, Santa and the elves were sitting around the fireplace in Santa's den. Bonnie, sad that her job was almost over for the year, said, "I wish I could go with you to deliver presents to all the boys and girls around the world, Santa." All the other elves agreed. Now Santa thought and thought for a moment, and then he got an idea. "Why, you can all go with me on my journey around the world Christmas Eve," said Santa with a twinkle in his eye. "You can go on Santa's Christmas Eve travels from the computer." The elves gathered around Santa's computer. On the screen was Santa's Christmas Eve trip, a computer game. "On Christmas Eve, you can all go on the journey around the world with me," said Santa. "In fact, you can even help me. It's not easy delivering presents to all the boys and girls around the world before daybreak." On Christmas Eve, the elves played the computer game and moved Santa from house to house, landing his sleigh on rooftop after rooftop as he made his journey around the world. "This is exciting," said Bonnie. "It's just like being in the sleigh with Santa." Hopping down chimneys and tiptoeing through doors big and small, the elves helped Santa Claus deliver toys to all the good girls and boys around the world. Then, something happened. Santa was delivering toys at one house and a child woke up. "We've got to get Santa out of there," exclaimed Bonnie. "We can't let a child see Santa." Bonnie quickly pressed Santa's magic dust button, and Santa and all the toys under the tree became invisible. The child soon went back to bed. The elves all cheered, happy that Santa had yet again made it out of another house without being seen by a child. "This is so exciting," said Bonnie. "I'm going to play this computer game every year from now on." The end. chocolate chick cookies. Wachoo! A cloud of flour drifted out through the bake shop door. Biff scampered to Mrs. Claus's side just in time for the chew. Pausing in the middle of her cookie making, Mrs. Claus covered her nose with her handkerchief and sniffled. I guess I'd better spend the day in bed if I want to get rid of this cold. Yes, ma'am, Biff agreed, adding reassuringly, and don't worry about a thing. After Mrs. Claus had gone off to bed, Biff told the other elves of his plan. Let's help out, he cheered excitedly. We can make the Christmas cookies all by ourselves. But you be in charge of flour and milk. Bonnie, you handle the sugar and eggs. The others will take care of the raisins and chocolate chips. And I will read the instructions to everyone from the recipe book, said Biff. Suddenly, Biff's eager grin turned lopsided as he took the big red book. Oh dear, 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 he worried to himself, remembering that his reading glasses were broken. Biff, balancing high upon the stool in the center of the kitchen, began to read the recipe aloud as best he could without his glasses. 16 grounds of flour stiffened, or is that 6 pounds sifted, he squinted. 10 eggs beaten with a foot, or does that say fork, he whispered, blinking wildly. 2 pounds raisins in a bag of chocolate chicks, he added weakly, rubbing his blurry eyes with his fist, and finally, relieved to be finishing, Biff mumbled quickly, steer well, break for 30 minnows, and cool on a rake. Meanwhile, Bonnie and Bud had a plan of their own to help Biff out. Soon the oven timer buzzed, and the hot cookies were done. Biff stood nervously at the far end of the kitchen. Beautiful, perfect, yummy, exclaimed the elves as they tasted a gooey sample. Good thing I noticed in time that Biff didn't have his reading glasses, whispered Bert to Bonnie with a private wink. And that we had this other cookbook to follow, Bonnie chuckled softly. Biff just shook his head in wonder as he accepted the compliments. The end. Everyone's important. Everyone's important. Oh, Mrs. Claus, you made the loveliest gingerbread village I've ever seen, exclaimed Sally. May I help you? Why, thank you, Sally, said Mrs. Claus as she continued her work. But making a village like this takes great skill and patience. Why not sit and watch as I put on the finishing touches? There's plenty of gingerbread to snack on while you watch. No, thank you, Mrs. Claus. I must go and find something important to do, said Sally disappointedly as she left the kitchen. Outside, she found rows and rows of beautifully decorated Christmas trees. Among the trees, she discovered an elf on a ladder hanging ornaments from the branches. Just look how they sparkle and shine, exclaimed Sally as she admired the tree. I've never seen such delicate crystal ornaments as these. Why, thank you, Sally, said the elf as he polished a sparkling silver star. These are hand-blown glass made right here in Santa's secret village. May I help you decorate the tree? Asked Sally eagerly. I'm sorry, but little ones are not allowed to touch things that could break so easily, replied the older elf as he tossed an empty box into the snow below. Why not sit down and chat with me while I work? I can tell you a story about every one of these ornaments, he continued as he held up a tiny glass snowflake. I'm sure your stories are quite interesting, sir, replied Sally, but I must go and find something important to do. She trudged through the snow toward Santa's workshop. Oh, sir, Sally cried, you paint such beautiful doll faces. They look almost real. May I help you paint? How nice of you to say, Sally, said the doll maker. But it takes years and years of practice and a steady hand to paint faces such as these, explained the doll maker as he carefully painted on a pair of tiny pink lips. Would you like to play with some of my paints? Inquired the doll maker. That's okay, Sally sighed, but I must go and find something important to do. She then headed to the music shop. Just look how perfect you've made these instruments, Sally purred as she gently stroked the tiny keyboard of the toy piano. May I help you put these together? She questioned. They're nice, aren't they? Agreed the master craftsman with pride. But putting one together so it will play beautiful music is a skill only a few possess. It's okay if you'd like to play with one for a minute, he said as he carefully strung the tiny guitar. Thanks for your kind offer, sir, Sally replied, but I must find something important to do. Sally left the workshop. She wandered about for some time. Finally, in a room at the end of the hall, she found Santa. "Sally, come in," Santa called as he glanced up from his list. "Why do you look so unhappy?" "I just can't find something important to do," Sally said sadly. "I just don't know why I'm here." Santa pulled Sally to his knee. "I brought you here to my workshop for a very important job that you do so well. Every elf here has a special skill, a job they do better than any other. What we all needed was someone to encourage us, someone to tell us what a good job we do. That's what you do best. You've been doing it all day," Santa pointed out proudly. "Well, that is an important job," said Sally as she jumped down from Santa's knee. "It's my job, and I'll do my very best," she promised. "Everyone is important. Now just do what you do best," said Santa. "Now let's get back to work." Sally skipped happily from the room. She had an important job to do. The end. Sally's secret. Life was Father Mouse, Mother Mouse. The next evening. It was not long. Santa's praise. That night, after all the elves had been tucked in bed, Sally returned to Santa's workshop. She tiptoed into the darkened room and hid behind a pile of stuffed toys. It wasn't long before her suspicions were confirmed. Out of the mouse hole came Father, Mother, Aaron, Annie, Amy, and little Annette. Father and son began painting tiny racing stripes on the little cars. Mother and the girls picked out paint to brush on lovely designs in the little rooms of the dollhouses. Sally watched in wonder. She decided to make her presence known to the little mice. "Excuse me," she whispered, and the little mice froze in place. They turned to flee as Sally explained, "Don't be afraid, I'm a friend. I just wanted to see who we all owed thanks to for such great work." Father Mouse stood in front of his family. "We thought we could help out," he explained. "We felt we owed Santa for providing us with such a good life here in his workshop. Now that we've been discovered, I'll move my family on. No one wants mice around these days." "No, wait. No one needs to know," replied Sally. She turned to leave the workshop. "They call it Santa's Secret Village, and your secret's safe with me," said Sally as she tiptoed out the door. The end. Little Helpers. "How does the weather look, Will?" asked Santa as Will tried to when Will adjusted the dials, the screen began to clear. "Hurry, Sally, go and get Santa," he cried. "We have a weather report." Sally and Santa returned, panting from their run through the snow. "How did you do it?" Santa asked in amazement. Will shook his head in surprise. "It's a secret to me," he announced, scratching his head as he handed Santa the weather report. Sally smiled. She moved closer to the weather machine. She pushed open her pocket and 6 tiny mice slipped inside. "It's my secret too," she said. The end. Where's Jack? Production had come to a stop. Have you oiled the handle? Bert cranked the handle. Have you asked him why he won't come out? Suddenly the latch let go. The elves made signs. Production began again on the Jack-in-the-Box. The handle did crank. The latch let go. Out popped Jack. He held his sign proudly. Santa loves good boys and girls. The end. Where is that sack? It was wash day. Hear this, hear this! Bud clamored through the kitchen. Melvin whirled through the workshop. Biff lunged toward the library. Through all this commotion, Bonnie sat quietly. There, upon Santa's soft toy bag, which Snowball had pulled in after herself, lay the mother cat and 3 tiny new kittens. The mystery was solved. And what a Christmas surprise! The end.
Whoopee! 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 Alright, 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 alright.